I'm a guy with a YouTube channel, and a lot of my videos have animation in them in a very specific style I've developed. They look glitchy and nostalgic. And in this video, I'm going to explain how I make those animations and talk about why I think they feel as nostalgic as they do. The first step in the process is every few months I go to my parents' storage unit in New Jersey and look for action figures from my childhood that I think will look good on camera. And then I give them to my friend John Marty, who's a filmmaker. And then he very painstakingly poses them and takes one picture at a time and creates stop motion animation with the action figures. Here he is working on a Storm action figure, and he does it in front of a green background that we then take out so that it looks transparent. So the finished thing I get from John looks like this. It's just a repetitive motion of one of the action figures. The goal here is to come up with motions that'll look good in a lot of different situations or can work in front of a lot of different backgrounds. So like walking, dancing, and fighting. Those are like our three go-tos. The other thing here is that if you look close, this particular Storm action figure, her leg is fucked up. That's because at some point the leg broke, but then my dad helped me glue it back on with a brace, and then we repainted the brace so that it would match the color, and you like maybe wouldn't notice that we did it, except that if you look at it, it's like easy to notice that we did it. That's part of this. Like it's a real action figure from my real life. Like early in the process, I know this is a subtle thing, and like I'm not sure how many people watching my videos ever noticed that Storm's leg is fucked up, but that's there on purpose because like I'm trying to allow in that sort of touch. You know, it's not all just a super smoothed out fake thing. It's like a very detailed, fucked up fake thing. There's a difference there that's important to me. Anyway, that's the end of part one. Part two is I go to spritersresource.com. Sometimes I think this is the coolest website on the internet. It's just a bunch of people who have ripped assets out of video games and you can download them. I don't even know how they do it, but somehow they've jailbroken into video games or they've jailbreaked video. I don't know how you say that. They've extracted stuff out of video games and you can download them. So I'm going to the part of the website that has models. I'm going to look for models of games I think I can use. For instance, they have Koopa Troopa Beach from Mario Kart 64. And if you download that, you can open the model in Blender, which is 3D animation software that's free. So I'm going to download Koopa Troopa Beach. It was put on Spriter's Resource by Turtle Boy. Very little is known about Turtle Boy, but I'm thankful to him. Okay, so once we're in Koopa Troopa Beach, you can sort of look at the whole thing and go anywhere and do anything. One thing to note here is that Koopa Troopa Beach itself is just a bunch of colorless, textureless forms. And the colors and the textures are just like other images that get assigned to the surface of every form. Now, Turtle Boy has included the colors and the textures, but the cool thing is that you can reassign them and change them. So if we go to the finish line and we look at the banner that says Mario Kart, I can reassign that banner so that instead it's just a JPEG of the Cyber Attack logo. So I'm going to do that. Then the other thing you can do in Blender is you can put in a sky and add lighting and add sunshine and like tweak the position of the sun and like make it look like a sunset or not, or like change how much dust is in the air, or change the direction the shadows are facing. I spend a huge amount of time on this. Like a huge part of my animation process is like trying to figure out which sky is the sky that I want. And I also think this is a big part of why it all looks and feels nostalgic when it's done. It's because the original Koopa Troopa Beach and Mario Kart 64, the Nintendo 64 was not doing this kind of lighting and this kind of sunshine. It wasn't doing ray tracing. It could do shadows sometimes, but in a very sort of like quick and dirty way. So all of this lighting information is more detailed than what anyone ever experienced on Nintendo 64. But when you see it now, it's like you're not remembering something from a video game. It's It's like you're remembering something from an actual memory. It feels like maybe this is a place you've actually been. Maybe it was a dream or something like that. This is a big part of that nostalgic vibe happens here. And then the next thing I do is bring in Storm. Now, when my friend animated Storm, that was just a 2-dimensional movie. There was nothing 3-dimensional about it. And when you use Blender to do 3D animation, everything is in a 3-dimensional environment. But we can cheat by bringing in a 2-dimensional flat plane, just like a piece of paper. And then we can have the texture of that piece of paper be the movie file that John created. So if we do that and then we move the piece of paper while the animation movie file is playing, it'll look like Storm is walking. Now, the only issue here is that Storm is 2-dimensional. So from the wrong camera angle, it won't look right. But that's okay, because we can position the camera. In fact, I like to move the camera. Almost all my stuff always has camera movement in it. There's a lot of tracking shots on the Cyber Attack YouTube channel. Something about a moving tracking shot, it goes better with music. Anyway, I spend a bunch of time deciding what I want, how I want the camera to move, then the camera moves. Now, since we're here at Koopa Troopa Beach, there's some nice palm trees here. Not exactly where we are, but like in the other part, there's some nice palm trees. I like those. So I'm going to copy and paste one and bring it back to where we are and put it somewhere on camera. In fact, I'm going to do 2. I think 2 looks good. Okay, so when I do all that, I wind up with Storm walking, the camera's moving, I've got the trees. I'm still not done yet. The next thing I do is I add some visual effects using Blender's compositing. For instance, there's a lens effect I can add that'll add a little bit of lens distortion and like chromatic aberration. This is subtle, but if you look at the edge of one of those poles, you can see that there's like color blur. Anyway, I add that, and then the other thing I add is glare. There's a lot of different ways you can tweak the amount of glare, the nature of the glare. This is the other thing I get stuck on. I spend a stupid amount of time trying to tweak my glare and make a decision about how much glare I want. In the end, I decide something like this. This is what it looks like with glare. And then this is what it looks like with glare and the chromatic aberration combined. It almost makes it feel like this is a place you could go to, which is different than like this is a video game you could play or this is a video you could watch. To me, it makes it feel like this is a place. And I don't think like making something very realistic is how you get there. I think you gotta sort of like give people the feeling and give people the vibe, and then it feels like a place they can go. I myself have not totally figured this out yet, but there's something about the lighting and the colors and the glare and the blurriness and like the old photographiness of it. There's something in there that is like, oh yeah, I know that place. And that's the feeling I'm trying to get to. And then I render it. And I wind up with this. This is what it looks like rendered. This 7-second animation took my computer an hour and a half to render. I'm happy with that. That's like fast by my computer standards. I don't know why this one was fast. Maybe it means Koopa Troopa Beach is like easy to deal with somehow, or like Turtle Boy did a good job. Who knows? But hour and a half to render 7 seconds, that's a good day. But I'm still not done yet. This is what it looks like when it's done, but I go in there and I boost the colors one more time. This is my last chance to make sure it really, 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 really looks the way it's supposed to look to belong in Cyber Attack world. So I spend a stupid amount of time not being done, messing with the colors. Finally, it looks like this. And then I'm done. Then I'm done with 7 seconds of animation. That's my video. Thank you for watching.